It says recording, motherfucker.
Word up.
That means we recording.
Word up.
What's good, man? What's on your hat? I think you wore that last time. Is that? Yeah, it's the Punisher. I thought it
Yeah.
was a new one for something. That's dope. Is that new?
No, man, because look.
Oh, shit.
So, like, I got tired of, like, I don't know, like, looking for fucking hats where I'm like, da-da-da-da-da. Like, I find a hat where I'm like, okay, this fits well and I like it, but maybe I don't want something horribly offensive on a hat all the time. Like,
Not all the time.
yeah, like, so I found hats. Like, I've got like 3 hats now that have like a little like patch, like Velcro part. So like I can like interchange shit.
Right. For those of you not watching the YouTube video of this, like literally he ripped off a dope Punisher fucking Velcro emblem on his hat. That's what that sound was.
Yeah.
we got people that aren't watching this shit. They're just listening.
Right. So I fucking came late to life in the realization that you can you can have a favorite hat and change out what you want on it. And that's
I don't know where you would get I guess just any patch. I guess.
Yeah, you can get it like, dude, you go on Amazon or wherever and find patches that you like.
Dude, that's genius.
Yeah, man. So you can take so I have like 3 hats, like I said, and they're like depending on like basically like temperature, like
your mood.
Mood, like, yeah. And I can just switch out what I want on the fucking hat.
It's a fuck you today, and then like half of your, like not half, but a handful of your t-shirts I've been like, that's pretty fucking offensive.
Yeah. So, actually it is, you're probably right. Like I have a shit ton of shirts that like t-shirts and stuff where it's like, oh man, like you can't wear that anywhere. And I'm like, no, well actually I can wear this anywhere. Most people can't wear this.
Fuck you is literally like spelled out. There's no like, symbol covering up it's straight up like, hey, you can read it. Your kid can read it too, motherfucker. Back up.
Yeah. And it's in big letters. It's not like you don't have to get close to see my shit.
Right.
Like, I have one shirt that says polite as fuck, which I love that shirt. And then I got another one that says 0 fucks given.
Yeah.
Like,
polite as fuck. That's you. That's good.
Yeah. I got a patch for my hat that says R-rated, and it says, like it's got like literally every horrible fucking word that you could fucking possibly want on a hat, so.
Right on. Well, shit, man. I don't really want to talk about COVID or nothing anymore. So, and
I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
good about talking about it. So
yeah, right on. I feel, dude, it's like light out, so it feels like a weird off time. But it's late as hell. Not well, no, it's not really. But
yeah, it's like 8:30, man.
Yeah, it feels weird. I guess just I'm not used to the light coming in down here in the basement, so it's weird.
Yeah. So like half the year, like when we start recording, it feels like it's the middle of the night.
Yeah, right.
And then when we're done, it's like, well, shit, is the sun coming up in a couple hours? Even though it's like 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night.
I thought you were about to be a smartass and like give me a lesson on how the time changes. And I was like, damn,
dude. You're like, no, dude, I get it. Like,
no, I know.
I understand time. Thanks.
Right. I understand how that works. Oh, shit, man. So I don't think I'm going to do an episode on it. I don't think you would either. So, like, was that last post? So Shep sent me a meme with this heart with a big old hole in it and like a stake. And the meme said that it was believed to be some famous vampire or some shit.
Yeah, but the dude apparently...
Is that for real? Like, is there that, that you know of?
I mean, I didn't take the shit out the guy.
Yeah, right.
So the premise of what I sent you was like, I don't remember the guy's name and I don't have any of that shit up, but like the guy was responsible for like 40 deaths or something, like murders. And legend had it, he was a vampire. And so they killed him by staking his heart. Well, this took place in like 1912. And supposedly they still have the heart and the stake on display but the heart is in like actually very good shape considering it's
from
100 plus years old. So
right. Well, my initial response was like, well, dude, even if he wasn't a vampire, that stake would have killed him. That hole was huge.
yeah, like no, I mean,
But I get it. It's like a mum, like the fact that it's still, in that condition. I get it. Okay.
yeah. So like I think that was kind of what I was pointing out and you can repost it if you want. I don't know that it's really that much of a conversation. There's enough, dude. Legitimately, there's enough weird shit going on in the world right now. Minus COVID, like just take that shit out of the fucking equation. All the other stuff that's going on is like, all right, like we fucking doing this. Like 2020 is like turning out to be the weirdest fucking year.
Yeah, it is too.
Ever.
It's a great year for memes, but yeah, dude, it's
yeah.
Well, I just thought that was cool as hell. It was just like, but I didn't, I'm not like, okay, yeah, vampires are real, but I was like, yeah, fuck, dude, like that dude would have been dead.
Well, yeah, if you like, so I guess I've kind of been seeding this topic for a little bit with you. So there's a couple of like really famous like cases of what's considered to be like vampirism or lichenism or whatever,
right?
Throughout history, and yeah, I think we've pitched the idea of doing a vampire episode and a werewolf episode. And
there was one in particular that it was I don't remember, but there's one that you have kind of mentioned a few times.
Yeah, there's the dude he's like an Italian or French guy or an Italian guy, I don't remember which, but he actually it's in the court of law, like whatever court tried him for murder, they actually it's in the historical record that he was considered a werewolf.
All right, well, let's not talk too much about that because I do every time you mention it, I forget about it completely. Like I'm intrigued. I want to do this.
Yeah, you like I forget about it immediately though.
Well, there's so much other shit, and we're doing these listener suggestions, and then yeah, dude, you know me and fucking rabbit holes, dude. I can't fucking focus, dude. I'm a squirrel.
Yeah. So
August Delagrange was that suspected vampire that we're talking about.
Yeah.
If anybody's interested.
Well, yeah, and then there's some British chick from like the 1700s that was considered a real vampire as well, and she was supposed to have run like a coven of vampires. And there's like, I hate using the term like historical precedent, but like, because I mean, whatever. But like, she was considered like a fucking legit vampire too.
Vampire.
Yeah. So.
Well, I watched a Vice episode where it's like they're like, we're vampires, and I'm like, well, just because, and they have like someone that they pay that they come over and they like slice their back and they literally drink their blood, and I was like, yeah, but are you a vampire just because you're drinking blood? I don't think it's not really. You're just weird.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I'll give you bonus points for being weird, but
right.
Like,
and your nails are black and you filed your teeth down, or you're wearing you're not a vampire, dude.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I mean,
anyway.
But who's to fucking say? Like, next week they might be like, fucking CDC's like, oh yeah, vampires are real too, by the way, guys.
And their blood is the cure.
Yeah, just letting you know.
Just a heads up.
UFOs are real. The Brazilian government shot one down over their rainforest a couple weeks ago. We found a hidden chamber underneath the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. There was an earthquake at Area 51. Let's see, what else? Oh, we found a parallel universe where time runs backwards. Right. And that was within the last 2 weeks. So.
Yeah. Oh, and Bigfoot. We found a dead Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah, we found. Yeah, so like legitimately everything but the Bigfoot thing.
Yeah.
All really happened in the last 2 weeks.
Really? I thought you were just being a smartass.
No, those were all fucking legit news stories from the last 2 weeks.
Wow. All right. Well, I need to look at some news. Send me some shit on that. Because, like, honestly, I've been so over flooded with the COVID stuff that I've really tried to turn that shit off, because I'm, like I said before, and I'm not going to get into it, but I'm trying not to freak myself out since I have to be at work. So I've literally had to like turn that shit off. And so I haven't even looked at the news or listened, which I'm surprised that shit's not all over social media.
A lot of it is, but like I follow NASA, which NASA's the one who released the thing about the parallel universe where time runs backwards.
Nazis found it.
The U.S. government fucking came out and said that UFOs are real. The Brazilian government came out and said that they shot down the fucking UFO, and there's a whole bunch of fucking videos online from different perspectives of the fucking UFO.
All right. Well, we've just lost all of our listeners because they've turned our shit off to go look at that. I don't blame you. I'm fixing to do the same shit.
I told you, man. I told you, dude. It's a weird year. It's been a weird year. It's been a weird month. Like, if you look at the tally of, like, January to today, like, all the shit that's happened in 2020, it's like, dude, like, that's a century's worth of bullshit you guys have crammed into 5 months.
That's right. Can we start over?
Yeah. No, I don't want to start over. Like, we're 5 months in. Like, let's just keep pushing.
Let's just get past it. That's fair. That's fair.
Maybe we'll get to the end of this bitch. Like,
well, speaking of social media, you want to throw some plugs out there?
We actually have social media pages where you can interact with us based on True Events Podcast at Instagram and Facebook.
That's right. We're also on the Twitter.
Podcast BOTE, BOTE.
That's right. Let's see. We got our YouTube channel up and running where you can watch videos of our ugly mugs on these Zoom episodes.
The Zoom meetings.
Just Google based on True Events Podcast.
Yeah.
We've learned.
It's just the easiest way.
It is. We still got I Wrote for Boat going. Send us your suggestions because, we still are, even though we're doing 4 kind of voter episodes at a time, we keep all the suggestions. We will pick our favorite. We'll send you a free shirt.
Yep. And and then, when you mentioned the suggestions, so the suggestion thing kind of came up as, at 8,500 downloads or listens or whatever the fuck you want to call it, and a few hundred followers now, we kind of decided that, the listener is listening because they want to hear stuff that they enjoy. So we're taking the suggestions from the listener and giving it to social media 4 at a time and letting everybody vote. And then we kind of go in the order that the votes were cast. And so you guys get the episodes that you want to hear.
Yeah. So, in the order you vote for them. I love that episode. And basically, Shep said it best. It's just as much your podcast as it is ours. And I love that concept because it's true. So, right. And by the way, you just cruised over the fact that 8,500 fucking listens. Whoop.
Yeah,
that's dope as hell. So thank you guys. I know you're stuck at home and life is weird and shit. So thank you for still fucking listening to our asses. Well, it means a lot.
Yeah, it's I know that some of our episodes aren't as family friendly.
No.
So finding time to listen to us go on our tirades about one subject or another, we definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. We got a bunch of shit coming forward. Well, I'm not going to get into it now, but we got a new website coming out. We're going to really start cranking some shit up and trying to upgrade, I guess, our whole whatever, everything.
Step up our game a little bit.
Step up our game. There you go. Yeah. So you guys stay tuned. Thank you for the suggestions. Keep that shit coming. I think that's everything, dude. We're still going to go to Waverly, but not yet.
Not yet. Soon. Not yet.
Soon. That's right. And tonight's your episode. It's the second. Yeah.
Second.
Number 2 out of the 4. So
Russian mad scientist and then this guy.
Yeah. So. Which is funny, like the Russian mad scientist, now that I guess because how fucking Google your AI episode like sticks with me because now everything I Google and then shit that pops up, I'm like, holy fuck, I notice it more than I even did before. Like, there's a ton of weird shit popping up because apparently I haven't like cleared my like history, and it's like more freaky, weird. You know, it's not Russian shit though, but like I told you, the German stuff, man, it just keeps like flooding my fucking. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, dude. If you need if you need to restock the nightmare fuel, just Google anything Nazi scientist ever did, and you'll be good for like 6-8 months. I promise.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Like 2 articles, and you'll be like, I'm good for quite some time.
Oh, it's the worst. Yeah.
So,
So tonight we're not doing that. What are we doing? It's on you, brother.
tonight we're doing a folk legend of U.S. history, a Wild West icon, and basically we're going to discuss Jesse James.
Jesse James.
Jesse James, also known as America's Robin Hood. We're going to kind of go into the legend of Jesse James and kind of go through the history comparatively, legend versus actual historical record, and kind of discuss one of America's most popular outlaws.
There it is. Before you get started, like, I don't know shit about Jesse James. I've heard of him. I don't know shit about any of like the old Wild West, famous.
Like Billy the Kid,
Well,
Wild
like,
Bill Hickok,
well, the only reason I know Billy the Kid and those is from Young Guns, literally. Like, I'm not a fan of westerns and like that part of history as much. The closest I've ever done to researching it was the America's First Serial Killers,
yeah.
But so are you a fan of westerns and shit? Like, was this up your alley, or was this kind of?
All right. So when you said that your only familiarity with Billy the Kid was Young Guns, you're actually familiar with Emilio Estevez. You're not familiar with Billy the Kid.
Well, true.
So all right. So here's my deal. Like, growing up, I fucking hated westerns. Fucking hated all of them. Like, if you turned one on, like, I was out immediately.
I agree. I'm the same way. It was.
And like, as I've gotten older, I slowly started going backwards. Mainly, like, kind of stick with like Clint Eastwood, like his earlier career, westerns. But I'm a history guy. Like, I do enjoy kind of peeling away the fact, and getting down to the core of where we get some of these. I don't know. They call them like icons and shit.
Yeah, right.
Like, whatever, like gunfighters, outlaws. Like, there was a huge like love affair with Outlaws of the Wild West, which is essentially just saying that it's always been very popular in America to kill people with a gun and end up on the news. So,
right.
This is, in my opinion, there's been movies, and like, he's actually one of the most popular of the outlaw.
Jesse James now? Are we on Jesse James?
Yeah, Jesse James is considered like one of the most popular, like, classically referenced outlaw stories from the Wild West.
All right.
So, I don't really particularly give a shit to do a Billy the Kid episode. I'm good just staying with Jesse James and kind of calling this our Wild West episode.
Wild West episode. Check, done. It's our one and only Wild Western suggestion so far. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've kind of done this time period a little bit. So this all obviously takes place in the Wild West, but this is just to kind of get your foot in the door of like what time period we're setting this stage. Is Jesse James was like basically like it was 1800s, and so he was actually born in 1847. And he died in 1882. So, spoiler alert, he dies.
Oh, shit. Damn it.
But this story kind of like the middle of his this story is like right smack dab in the middle of the Civil War. So just to get it started, Jesse Woodson James was born in Missouri in the middle 1800s, and his dad died at a young age. I think his dad died when he was like 12. Jesse had an older brother named Frank James, who actually joined the Confederate Army right when shit started getting real. And he didn't just join like the regimented Confederate Army. He joined a group of Confederate guerrillas known as the Bushwhackers.
The Rasslers?
Yeah, the Rasslers, man. The Rasslers. So basically what the Bushwhackers would do is they operated in Missouri and Kansas during the Civil War, and they basically just like fucked up supply lines and like fucking antagonized the Union soldiers and basically just fucked with people. That was like their gig. So that group of bushwhackers was led by a dude by the name of Bloody Bill.
Bloody Bill?
Bloody Bill. Like, I will say this. His name was Bloody, like literally his name was Bloody Bill Anderson. And I will say this for like, compared to like anything else besides like serial killers, like there really isn't any like better fucking names out there than like out west fucking like outlaw names, because it's always the same shit. It's always like Bloody Bill or Wow Bill.
Right. And
shit
they
like
always
that.
call like the biggest dude there is like Shorty or Tiny.
Yeah, it's always Tiny, like, you're a small fucker.
Yeah. They do have good ass nicknames. You're right.
So anyway, like, so Frank, Jesse's older brother, would just go around fucking with Union soldiers. Union ends up getting fucking tired of this, and they go to the fucking the James family farm, and they find Jesse, and they fucking string him up to a tree and just beat the fuck out of him, looking for his brother.
Oh, so hold on. The audio has been perfect so far, but right there it literally froze. They strung who they beat the hell out of?
They found Jesse when he was like 15 and strung him up to a tree looking for his brother. So they were interrogating the kid Jesse, and just beat the shit out of him.
Damn. All right.
So they don't really find out any information. They let him go. This sparks a lifelong hatred with the Union, and thus is born Jesse James. He immediately goes and joins up with the Confederate Army and joins the gang of guerrillas with his brother Frank, and they start terrorizing the fuck out of the Union soldiers.
So just like for revenge.
Yeah, like just
out of spite.
Fuck you. Like so yes, like that's probably Jesse's motivation, but Missouri was a heavily contested Confederate state at that time. So, like, I mean, not contested. They were like a very Confederate state.
Right.
But, you know, I mean, that's why it's Civil War. Like, there were people in, I think, most states, like, that were kind of in that level that were like, we're going to kind of be neutral in some areas. Some areas are going to be very Confederate. Some areas are going to be very Union. Basically depended on how you felt about slavery, I think.
Depended on how racist you were. You're right.
Yeah, how racist you were. You know, I've heard the argument that the Civil War was about states' rights more than it was about slavery. I feel like that's a way to kind of soften history a little bit. There was definitely people who were like not into paying for labor to make their money. And
they were pro-slavery.
Right. So they were definitely pro-slavery.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like so before, like, just little history lesson. So, like, basically the idea of the United States prior to the Civil War was, like, we all kind of, like, got along as states, but if you were in Kentucky, Kentucky had its own group of laws.
Right.
And if you went across the border to Indiana, the laws in Indiana could be completely fucking different.
Right.
So it was like everybody was kind of their own unit, but we all kind of like hung out together.
Right. I got you.
So that, I mean, that is the idea of states' rights and being the reason that the Civil War happened. Sorry, like this isn't a Civil War episode, but whatever.
Right. But also, that's total horseshit. That's just a cover-up for people who don't want the reality that America was fucking full of racist asshats.
Yeah. I mean, right down to our forefathers.
Yeah,
so.
all the way down. That's right.
So, I mean, there was definitely good ones out there, but the few and far between in a lot of areas. So, anyway.
You need to write the history books that the kids fucking learn from. Give it to them straight.
Yeah, come on.
And don't take Robert Smalls out of it either, motherfuckers.
Right. He needs to be like page 1. First, you explain you explain slavery, and then explain the Civil War, and then explain why Robert Smalls is an awesome motherfucker.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry.
So, yeah. So in 1864, kind of, this is what like starts the legend of Jesse James. So in 1864, the bushwhackers get word that a Union congressman is on a train, and they're like, fuck it, we're going to rob him. So they rob the train. And while they're robbing the train, they realize that there's 22 furloughed Union soldiers on the train. So being the stand-up Confederate guerrilla warriors that they were, they dragged those 22 young men off the train and then shot them all in the back of the head. Not really a stand-up fight kind of guy.
Yeah, not so much for the robbery.
Well, no, they definitely robbed the fuck out of everybody on the train.
Right.
And the idea was basically like sending a message to the Union, like, hey, man, we run this shit.
Yeah.
So this obviously upset the Union Army, so they sent a garrison after the bushwhackers and basically kind of like cornered Jesse James and his brother and the bushwhackers, and which they're sent them to this area to basically start looking for Jesse James and his brother and the bushwhackers.
Was it literally just how many? I mean, was this like a posse or like 4 dudes?
What, the garrison?
No. Jesse James and his brother.
Oh no, it doesn't really give you a number, but it was a fairly it's not a regiment size, but it was probably like 15, 20 dudes.
Okay, right.
So anyway, the Union basically is like looking for the bushwhackers. The bushwhackers find out about it. They like corner this garrison and fucking torture and kill 100 Union soldiers at a place called Centrillion. It was basically known as the Centrillion Massacre, and it's 100 plus Union soldiers were tortured and massacred by Jesse James and his brother.
Wow. So apparently they could fight. Like they were actually pretty badass.
Yeah, they under Bloody Bill Anderson. They were a well organized group, man. But they weren't doing like face to face fighting. Like at that time, I mean, if you look at any like old Civil War movies or like even like look at the tactics of Civil War battles, it was that stupid shit where everybody lines up and runs at each other in the middle of a field and gets fucking whoever just didn't lose as many people wins the battle.
Dude, I never understood that. I'm like, dude, I would be like, well, I'm gonna duck. I'm gonna lay down and shoot. Like, I know we're supposed to stand in line, but no, I don't want to. I'm gonna go to the side.
Yeah, you guys can fucking run at the fucking cannon all you want. I'm gonna go to the right and see what we can do. So anyway, so they were guerrilla warriors. So what they would do is they would just wait. They were opportunistic killers. Like they would just wait until people were bedding down for the night and go into a camp and kill everybody. Like they would wait until people were like restocking in a town and fucking not ready for a battle. And the Union soldiers were regimented warriors, but they were regimented in a way of fighting that did not account for guerrilla tactics.
Right.
And that's why they were so successful. So Civil War ends, and Jesse and his brother are basically labeled as enemies of the state. Okay. So what do? They say, okay, well, we're really good at fucking robbing and killing shit, so we're just going to keep doing that for a while. So they rob trains, they rob banks. Jesse James.
Yeah, man, Billy the Kid. Rah, rah. We're getting hate mail and shit.
Right. So Jesse James, his first bank robbery is actually a farce. Like, it's a complete fuck up. Like, so there was a dude that killed Bloody Bill Anderson by the name. Oh God, what the fuck is this dude's name?
Pee-wee.
It doesn't matter. So Jesse James walks into this bank, right? And he basically sees this guy, and he thinks it's the dude who killed Bloody Bill Anderson. So he fucking shoots this guy and decides he's robbing the bank. Well, he grabs this bag of what he thinks is money after shooting and killing the wrong fucking guy. And it turns out he stole a bag full of stationery. Like, just fucking...
You didn't look in the bag, dude?
Pieces of paper. Just blank piece of paper.
Wow.
So,
damn.
He gets better at his craft.
There's only room for improvement after that one.
Yeah, as time goes on, but the union's still pissed about things, and they're still looking for Frank and Jesse. They end up finding Jesse in basically a Kansas territory, and they fucking shoot him in the chest. And like, he actually survives the initial battle. His cousin like pulls the bullet out, like mends him, gives him a place to stay and shit, but basically tells him like, you gotta get the fuck out. Like, the union's all over us. Like, you guys have killed like 150 Union soldiers in like, not like a battle sense, like you just killed them. Like
there's those really shitty drawings, which, wanted posters like everywhere of your face, dude. You can't chill here.
Right. And everybody knows that, like, where we all live. They all know that we're family. Like, so you guys got to get the fuck out.
Right. They shot him and he survived. Like, he was able to get away. Like, shot him. Anyway.
Yeah. So he lived through that. And that, they go on, like, Frank and Jesse, like, I'm kind of fast forward. I'm going to jump around a little bit because
You're good.
In full disclosure, I don't give a fuck about this dude. Like, sorry. Like, I know that he's like whatever, but like, I don't, like, I'll get to why, but I'm going to bounce around. I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. Like, I just don't give a shit about Jesse James. I know a lot of people fucking love this character. And that's what he is. He's a fucking character. So the reason that we have the Jesse James that you would see in Westerns and you would see in different, like, pop culture and media and stuff comes from the fact that after a bank robbery, there was a Confederate sympathizer that was a writer for one of the local newspapers. And he wrote the story of how Jesse James and his brother would rob these banks and give the money to the poor. And that's where you get this Robin Hood-esque idea of who Jesse James was.
Little horseshit?
It was all horseshit. The only people that they ever gave money to was family and people they had to fucking pay off. That was it. They kept all the fucking money. That was their deal. They robbed and stole and bounced from states and shot whoever got in their fucking way and didn't give a fuck about anything else. And really, and a lot of times, like, it got to the point where, like, if you no longer became a useful or viable assistant to Jesse, then he'd fucking kill you or cut you loose.
Wow.
Actually, of the two brothers, Frank James actually kind of went straight at one point. Jesse and Frank both were appealing to the U.S. government for amnesty from their war crimes, essentially, which they never did get.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, they never got it. But they lived in Tennessee for a while under assumed names. But it's widely considered that Frank actually kind of went straight, and Jesse kind of got bored with living the farmer life, went back to robbing trains, robbing banks, robbing trains. And so
it sucked to be like was it conductor?
Yeah,
train driver. Like I just back then I'd be like, oh god, like I'm fucking.
Like here we go. Like here we go.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah. So they, they actually did. I mean, they stole quite a bit of money. There was, they had a train that they robbed, basically in the Iowa areas. They got like $3,000 off that train. It's just the current equivalent would be about $64,000.
Jesse, man, that's an easy target. They can't turn.
They can't turn. The horses can keep up with them.
Right.
So yeah. But the problem with that is when you start robbing from trains, you get involved with a group called the Pinkertons. And the Pinkertons were, at the time, generally considered like the top-notch, like enforcers, detectives, investigators, whatever you want. Dude, let's cut all the bullshit. I'm not blowing any smoke up Jesse James's ass. I'm not going to blow any smoke up the Pinkertons' ass either. These dudes were hired killers, and they were good at what they did. And the Pinkertons just did it with the idea that train companies and the people who could afford the Pinkertons usually were considered on the right side of the law. Mm. So they had a lot more leverage with the way that they went about things.
They didn't get in trouble.
Yeah, they didn't get in any trouble. Like literally, like they had gotten a tip that Jesse James was at like his cousin's house or some shit, and they didn't like knock on the door and say, "Hey, Jesse, come on out. We're here to arrest you." No, they just firebombed the place. Like they were like, "Fuck you! Like we're gonna blow this shit up."
Damn.
So Jesse like spent a lot of his life on the run, obviously.
Yeah.
But he actually did make some friends with a group, like it's called they were like the Ford family. They kind of like took Jesse in and like helped him do some shit. And long story short, like Jesse didn't trust some of them. Like he started out really liking them, didn't trust them, like, and with as fickle as Jesse was, one of the Fords, I believe, ended up, Bob Ford was a new recruit for like what would be Jesse's like gang or whatever. I'm pretty sure he's the one who basically is like, hey, I can bring Jesse James in.
That reward money.
I'll take that reward money. And
Bob. Bob.
Yeah, right. So it was Governor Crittenden, I believe, was the one who was offering up the money. I don't really give a shit about any of that. Basically, like this dude basically took the option of the guy's name Robert Ford basically took the option of, okay, I'm gonna try to sell you for money, for the reward. So he goes to Jesse's house at the time, and in like not like a hideout. Like this is where Jesse lived with his wife and his children. And Robert Ford basically is like having a conversation with Jesse and pulls out a gun. And there's conflicting discussion on what actually happened. Robert Ford said that he pulled the gun and the gun went off. That he had every intention of taking Jesse in alive.
Whoops.
But in actuality, he shot Jesse James in the back of the head, and Jesse James subsequently died from the gunshot wound.
Yeah, okay. From the headshot.
And it should also be noted that he never got the reward money because he didn't bring Jesse in alive, because the governor wanted to hang Jesse.
So not alive, dead.
And Robert Ford was actually subsequently shot in a bar fight a few years down the road. So,
yeah, I would never go into bars back then. I'd be like, nah, that's when all the fights happen.
Yeah, like, I mean, I would, you know, yeah, exactly, dude. And fuck going to an Old West doctor. Like, okay. Like, I feel like going to a doctor ever, like, if you're like, dude, I think I got, like, a cold. I think I got, like, the flu or something. They're like, we're going to saw your leg off.
That's it. Amputate.
Like, wait, no, dude. It's all up here. Everything's up here. Yep.
Cut his head off.
Legs coming off. So, you know, then.
So he died just from, okay, damn.
Yeah, his boy shot him in the back of the head. Right. But let's be real. Like, Jesse would be like, "Are you snitching on me?" Like he plays that like classic fucking gang leader who's paranoid that everybody's like snitching on him. And there always is like the one dude that's snitching on you, but there's always that one dude who's snitching on you because you treat everybody like shit.
Right.
Like that is like the classic trope of in real life, like not just in like movies and in books and of fiction. Right. Like in reality, that you get to a certain point of being like an outlaw or a gang or a drug lord or whatever, and then you're like, everybody's out to get me. Like that paranoia sets in and shit.
Yeah.
And legitimately, most of the time, it's just you drive them to kill you because you're being an asshole all the time.
Like, we're sick of your paranoia and being a prick. So now I am out to get you.
Right. So, okay. So that's the legend of Jesse James. The idea that he was a Robin Hood was completely manufactured by Confederate sympathizers who were just trying to shit on Union propaganda, basically. So here's where I'm going to kind of do my like wrap up, I guess, of the story. I was all over the place. I'm not going to overload you guys with facts and details. If you really like the story of Jesse James, go fucking do some research. I kind of personally think he's a piece of shit, and I don't understand why people fucking love this dude. He was just a mass murderer.
Right.
He robbed people, like. And he couldn't even like leave well enough alone. Like he got married and had 2 kids and could have like just let the world kind of forget who he was.
Like, I did some bad shit, but now I'm gonna, yeah, right.
It's the 1800s. Grow a mustache, asshole. Like nobody's gonna know who the fuck you are. Gain 20 pounds. Like
You're good.
The 17 and 1800s is like the easiest time to just disappear into the world, especially if you've got some money in your hands. Like, it's like, yes, there are people who know you face to face, but like, go to a different state. Like, I don't understand this at all.
They don't know you there.
But he couldn't fucking just do that. Like, he couldn't just let the outlaw life go away. Like, he would write letters to fucking newspapers and like, motherfucker, you didn't kill me. Like, I'm still here, bitch. Like, he taunted the Union. Like, when they didn't grant him amnesty, he was like, fuck you, I'm going double time. And like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, you know, that's the hardcore life. No, the reality of the fact was, he got a bloodlust, killing all these fucking union dudes. He couldn't go live a normal fucking life when he had the opportunity to do so. He had a population and a public that would have fucking hidden him because of the propaganda of the newspapers at the time. He was a local fucking legend.
Right.
They would have taken care of him. All he had to do was go be a farmer with his family and watch his kids and shit grow up.
Done deal.
And it would have been a done deal. But this asshole could not keep his fucking, couldn't keep it together, man. Like, he just continued with the fucking, I gotta be the baddest outlaw in the fucking West. Like,
yeah, he was cocky. Right.
yeah, cocky. And like, dude, like, like you mentioned earlier, he's robbing trains. Like, dude, it's not rocket science. Like, at least like robbing a bank takes some skill. Like, you're in the middle of a town.
Yeah, and you
know what
fucked
I'm saying?
royally. You weren't even good at that.
Like, yeah, you weren't. I mean, he robbed a bunch of banks too, but like for real, like robbing trains, like, okay, it's a big, long fucking hallway. Like,
Yeah. Give me your money.
everybody's like, unless they get off the fucking train, you know where everybody is. Okay.
You don't have to look. That's true.
Yeah, and you're in the woods, or you're in like, you're definitely not robbing trains in cities. You're robbing them where nobody can get to you. So like, come on, you're not that fucking good at what you do. But no, I mean, I think my biggest issue with him is the fact that like they portray him as this like Robin Hood, like this folk legend, and I'm like, but why? Like I just don't understand it. Like,
well, it sounds like it sounds like you nailed it on the head. Obviously, well, and because of the time frame, you know what I mean? The story was put out, and then history did what it did, and just the telephone game again, you know?
Right. Well, so the bullshit of this story is that because he was such a piece of shit, his wife died in poverty, and his kids basically were wards of the state, I believe, at a very young age, because she had to sell all of her shit, all of her land holdings, everything went to the government.
Oh, because it was all stolen?
Yeah, like they didn't leave her with shit, and she died in poverty, a very shitty death, because he couldn't fucking just settle the fuck down.
Right, like you had the money, dude. You could have lived probably for the rest of your life. And
so on to, I guess this may have been the reason that the suggestion actually came up, is because there is the legend of Jesse James's lost treasure. So,
okay,
and the idea that he basically robbed and stole from trains and banks throughout the Midwest, and it's argued that no one's really certain of how much money the James Younger gang is responsible for having stolen. But there's been shows that have been on like the History Channel. We've talked about History Channel in the past. There's books that have been written, and it's basically, there's even a movie, it came out in 2019 called The Lost Treasure of Jesse James.
I'm surprised it hasn't been on Ancient Aliens.
Yeah, the aliens stole his money. But the idea is that there's upwards of $1 million worth of gold and basically 1800s money, stolen money, lost somewhere in the Midwest. And Oklahoma is considered to be the most likely location for where Jesse hid his financial fortune. I don't particularly buy this story for a few reasons, but there are definitely people out there that are still combing caves and out looking at old Jesse James gang hideouts and shit, looking for this supposedly lost treasure. Here's the reason I don't believe that it exists.
Because
Do
his
I
wife
believe it?
died of poverty. That's why.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's actually a bit of it. I feel like as much of an asshole as he was, he would have found a way that his wife would have known how to get to some money if something had happened to him.
Right.
He was very close with his brother Frank. Frank would have known where that money would have been.
Did Frank ever
Jesse,
get arrested or killed or anything? Or do we know? I mean, I don't know if that's a whole other story.
Dude, I barely wanted to fucking dig into Jesse. I'm not digging into Frank.
No worries. Yeah.
But the idea of this is that Jesse didn't fucking rob banks by himself. Like, notably, he started this game in, the Civil War with the Bushwhackers, and he was a part of a gang the entire time that from the time he started in guerrilla warfare to the time he died, he was essentially a part of a gang or a group of dudes. And
talk.
So there's no fucking way that a treasure would have gone by the wayside, that somebody wouldn't have noticed where the fuck this went,
right?
That his family would have died in poverty. I can understand playing like the poverty game for a little bit until you like ditch states and then fucking go dig up his treasure. But like, you're not gonna fucking die in poverty. Like, your kids are gonna be taken care of. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's too many.
That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, no, not if his wife died because she had no money and couldn't survive. Yeah.
There's too many motherfucking people who knew Jesse very well.
Right.
Like, that treasure, if it existed, which I don't think it did, like, I feel like the amounts of money that were said to have been stolen by Jesse were definitely exaggerated at many points in history. And there's actually a really good reason that I think that. So, that there's an outlaw gang that operates robbing banks and robbing trains in a certain area. So you start sending your trains with like $50 up and down these rail lines and telling everybody it's got $70,000 in cash or, $3,000 in cash, whatever the fuck it is. Right. Start telling them these like crazy numbers, and A, it's bait. And B, those dudes always had their shit like fucking insured. So when it's like the Die Hard premise. Like, why lose $3,000 when you can say you lost it and then get the insurance money?
Right.
So that's why I think that the idea that Jesse had stolen all this exorbitant amount of money, I think it's a lot of that smoke and mirrors, especially as soon as they knew like kind of the areas that he was working in. The Pinkertons were just trying to catch him. Everybody else who had any money was smart enough, weren't going to be fucking using the trains.
Like, I'm not going to carry it on the train with me, right?
Well,
my thing is so if it's really like a treasure worth like millions, like.
I think millions is a heavy hint. They're saying upwards of $1 million.
Okay, well,
so
that's still.
It's a substantial. I'm not shitting on the amount that they're saying that it is.
Well, he would have had to been successful for a long time to make $1 million. Like back then, the equivalent of $1 million.
He died in 1882. I mean, the Civil War was over in 1865, so. All he was doing was robbing for like 15 years,
Right.
So, I mean, he didn't get caught. Like, he got shot in the back of the head by his boy. So, like, I mean, there was definitely, he wasn't robbing every day.
Right.
But,
right.
I mean, he definitely, that was his job. Like,
yeah.
That's all he did. He didn't, like, learn how to be a fucking cowhand or anything like that. Like that.
I'm looking at pictures of him, like, one's like, he's like this, like, cocky young dude, and the other one's like, he's like this cross-eyed dude with a porn stash. I'm like,
yeah, man.
Not a real intimidating looking guy.
Yeah, but I mean, you strap a name and a legend to a guy, and you get a whole lot more intimidating real fucking quick.
Yeah. William Wallace is 10 feet tall and shoots fire out of his arse. Right, I get it.
Right. So, I mean, I don't think that the lost treasure, Jesse James, very likely. I definitely don't think it's very likely to still exist. It never actually did. And if it did exist, I don't think it made it past, 20 minutes after he was dead.
So somebody got rich, right?
The minute that anybody who knew him knew he was dead, every one of his hiding spots for anything got looted like a motherfucker, man.
Right. Yeah, damn right.
So, and I don't think that he held enough, like, he was too much of a talker, too much of trying to be in the spotlight to keep a fucking secret. So why would anyone not know?
Right.
Like, oh, this is where I keep all my shit. Like,
well, and he wasn't robbing by himself the whole time, it sounded like. So there's, I'm with you on that.
Like, he always like had like at least 4 dudes with him.
Right.
So the likelihood that this lost treasure still exists out in the world somewhere, like, no, like, go fuck up Oklahoma. Like, I literally have no love for Oklahoma, so you guys go the hell to Oklahoma and dig up everybody's backyard. I don't give a fuck about that. That's not what I'm trying to say. A lot of times, like, I might say something here or there, like, man, leave these people alone, like, da-da-da-da. Nah, go fuck up Oklahoma if that's what you want to do.
Oklahoma. Yeah.
Like, but I just think that you're wasting your time in a hot state that gets hit by tornadoes every 30 minutes. So if that's what you want to do, go fuck that up. If not, go get a fucking special on the History Channel telling us how you think that you found it in Kansas.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't understand why everybody loves this dude. He's not even that compelling of, like, yeah, he robbed banks for a while. Like, he was a shitty fucking, like, killer. Like,
well, right. So, like, he doesn't seem to be any different than the rest of the bank robbers that, whatever. Like, I didn't know that much about him, but if the Robin Hood portion was true, and obviously probably people are hyped on him because they believe that it is, then maybe I can get some hype behind him. But the fact that it's just nonsense is like, dude, he was an asshole, killed people, like, wrong sides, but, like, there's nothing cool about the dude.
All right, like,
look, Jade Holmes, like, the story's wrong.
Like, I think I immediately got pissed off. Like, I already wasn't like super fan of it. Like, I already wasn't a fan of this guy anyway. But then I'm like reading, and it's like I think like the first story about like the 22 Union soldiers that they just dragged off the fucking train and shot in the back of the head. These dudes had just gotten furloughed. They're like going home. And you guys drag them off the train and fucking kill them. Like, that's pretty shitty. Like,
you're a dickhead, dude.
Like, okay, like the 100 dudes that you torture and kill, like, I'm not super hype on that either, but at least they were out, like, actively looking for Jesse and his brother.
They were coming to kill you, so yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that one's a little bit more understandable, but the reason that those 100 dudes that you tortured and killed were coming to kill you is because you just shot and killed 22 dudes in the back of the head like a bitch.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'm sorry. Well, it's fitting that he got shot in the back of the head.
Yeah. And I generally, I mean, I'm not trying to go one direction or the other with it. I'm sure there was shitty people on both sides of it, but the minute that you say like Confederate soldier, like I'm already kind of pulling against you as a.
Yeah, I was trying to not like blatantly say it, but I'm like, that's what I said. He was on the wrong side, so I don't really like that anyway. Like, I don't care if he died. Like, I'm like, I can kind of understand, like, okay, they strung you up to a tree and beat the fuck out of you trying to find your brother. Like,
okay,
yeah,
like I can understand where some of that rage kind of comes from.
But just based on the whole reason that they're Confederate and what they're fighting against and or for or whatever is like, hey, dude, like you picked the wrong side.
Yeah, like,
and if you were robbing money and giving it to the poor, you're giving it to the wrong side. Fucking poor anyway.
yeah. So, but basically, Jesse James, like, okay, so this is the reason that he's like fame, like the reason that he is who he is, the legend that he is, and the reason that people give a fuck about him is because after the news release of Jesse giving money to the poor and basically being this Robin Hood, they started writing all these dime store novels about Jesse James and the Outlaw gang. And he's kind of like the reason that that fucking legend exists is he was like the dude. Like it was like him and Billy the Kid and like Wild Bill Hickok. Like those dudes all became like people were like scrambling. It's a lot like the story of Jack the Ripper, like the Penny Dreadful stories. Like people were just trying to sell these little fucking Wild West stories, and people bought the shit out of them. It's like the romance novels you see at Kroger, like sitting on the fucking racks, or you know, the reason that people still
the
buy
Fabio of the West.
yeah, like people still buy the Inquirer, still fucking go to
buy
TMZ.
that? Dude, I see the Inquirer. I still every time I wonder, does somebody actually buy that?
They still print the motherfucker.
I guess so. I guess so.
Now, so I mean, people just have always. I won't say always, but look, we got a track record as human beings for bloodlust, and you might not do it, but you want to read about it.
Yeah, right.
And you know how I can prove that is the Colosseums from Rome. Those fuckers were there, and it's not like it was a gentler, happier time before the Colosseums at Rome. The Romans just figured out people wanted that, and they could quell the entire fucking population by putting a whole bunch of people in the middle of a circle and watching them kill each other.
Watching them fight to the death. Yep.
They were just one of the first groups that actually monetized it.
Right.
So fast forward, to the 1800s, 1700s, blood, murder sells.
Yeah.
It bleeds, it leads. Like, and that's why Jesse James is the fucking outlaw legend that he is just because people wanted to sell dime store novels about the heroic Robin Hood of the West who actually was just a piece of shit who murdered people.
Yeah. So basically, he could have been. Was he one of the first, or was he the first, or I don't know if you know, like Billy Kid time frame and all that.
I mean, like I said, like I don't.
And you don't even have to look. I just didn't know if you knew already.
No. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I know that he was one of the most like he sold a fuckload of those little novels, man.
Right.
Well,
you add the Robin Hood twist. The first Robin Hood. That's an awesome story. Too bad it wasn't true, but it was. That's a cool story. I mean, shit, dude. Robin Hood's an awesome fucking story. You know what I mean? But if it's not real, then it's it's fiction.
Right, and if you're a Confederate newspaper owner who's trying to get sympathy for the Confederate cause in a time where the state's kind of divided, what better way than to give farmers and poor people someone to believe in that's on the Confederate side, and fuck the Union, and guess what? We're no longer sympathizing with the Union. We don't believe in this. Oh, yeah, we're completely 100% on the Confederate side of the discussion. Dude, we talked about it before. Propaganda's a bitch, man.
Yeah.
That is literally why the statement "hearts and minds" is such an important thing when it comes to fighting a war. If you lose the population's, belief in you, like even if it doesn't matter what the scenario. If the people don't fucking believe in it, it's hard as fuck to continue on.
Right. No, I get that 100%.
So, I mean, that is literally how this story started, and it just fucking steamrolled into, oh, he's the legendary outlaw Jesse James. He killed a fuckload of people. I'm not saying he didn't, and he robbed a shitload of stuff.
Right.
But
yeah, he's an asshole. Right. I guess it depends. It's still like, okay, it's valid for the story. I liked hearing about it and learning about it, but he's just a bad guy. You know what I mean? To me, if the people who are Jesse James is awesome, I got a tattoo because he was a bad guy, then you're the same idiot that's got a fish tattoo probably. But if you actually believe that he was the first Robin Hood ever, then that's
then you're just ignorant. Then you're just ignorant. You haven't done any research on why you got a tattoo, because the dude didn't do any of that.
Yeah, you didn't Google anything.
But it does beg the question. Like, okay, so like let's take a modern day serial killer, and somebody who's like let's Jeffrey Dahmer. Let's take Jeffrey Dahmer, right? Right. Had he robbed banks and robbed fucking local areas and given his money away to the poor supposedly, but he ate a couple dudes that he dated
in the process,
like, does that make him this local legend, this fucking icon of
a hero
of pop culture? No, he's a fucking cannibal. Like, he preyed on people.
That's very, very true.
But it's the same fucking argument, because I mean, Jesse James didn't eat anybody that we know of. Right, but he definitely tortured the fuck out of some people, and he definitely killed a lot of innocent people.
Right.
Like, he didn't give a fuck if you were innocent. Like, his first bank robbery proved that. He just shot a guy that looked kind of like the dude who killed a friend of his.
Yeah, that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because no, even if any of them, Jeffrey Dahmer or Jesse James, gave money to the poor, they're still pieces of shit and fucking deserve to die. You know what I mean? So yeah, good point.
So, I actually, I'm not a huge fan of somebody getting shot in the back of the head, which he shot a whole lot of people in the back of the head.
Yeah, I'm okay with it in the story, because it's like one of those eye for an eye. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, like, I don't fucking hate it. And the dude who shot him in the back of the head was probably like, I probably don't got very good odds of making it from point A to point B with this guy not shot in the back of the head.
Right.
So I'm going to kill him.
Oh, my gun. It went off.
Yeah, I'm going to kill him. And not only am I going to kill him, like, I may not get the reward money, but they're sure as fuck going to know, like, the governor's sure as fuck going to know that, like, I'm not on Jesse James's side.
Right. I'm good. So. Yeah. Well, dude, hey, yeah. Well, okay. You even told me before you did the episode, like, I'm going to shit on this dude. But you told the story. You weren't like all one side, you know what I'm saying? Like, you told the story was great, actually. I enjoyed it. But then I can understand why you said, no, he's a piece of shit, and I don't give a fuck about him. Because I agree. Right. Yeah, I mean, he's not compelling.
Like, I mean, I actually, this one kind of surprised me. This story actually did, I will say that this one did sort of surprise me, because I kind of went into this one being like, well, I don't get the hype. And I was always, like, as I was doing research, I kept being like, I kept waiting for the moment where it was going to change, like where I was going to understand why this dude carries a legend with him. And it's just not it.
It's not there.
I still don't care. I actually probably care less now that I've done the research. This was very like crestfallen for me. Like, it's almost like Holmes times 10 for me. Like, because Holmes, like, I was like, oh, up here. And then I did the research, and, like, he kind of, like, I was like, oh, no, that dude was just a lazy piece of shit. And he probably only, it's all legend, and it's no, like, substance. This dude is, like, all murder and, like, zero substance on the humanity side of things. Like,
yeah, he was just literally a serial killer. Well, I guess a mass murderer.
We'll go mass murderer.
Mass murderer, yeah.
I don't care what the FBI says, what the fucking criteria for serial killer is. This dude, like,
it's a mass
definitely
murderer.
Like, by the FBI's criteria, this dude is a fucking serial killer. But let's be real, this dude's just a mass murderer. He's a terrorist, a mass murderer, a guerrilla revolutionary, whatever the fuck you want, whatever fuck you want to call him. He was just a piece of shit. Sorry. Like, everybody who loves him sucks his dick. If you suggested this episode, I'm sorry I shit on him. Unless that was your intention, was to just get me to shit on him for an hour. Then you got it. You got it.
Well, it was our first, Wild West fucking bank robber killer, so I enjoyed it. It was something different, but I agree with everything you said, man. Cool story, piece of shit, not worth really talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe it could make a good movie if you did what Hollywood did and added in a bunch of shit that would make it actually, compelling. But for the most part, they had to add that Robin Hood shit to make it a good story.
Right. Well, and there's a shit ton of movies about him. Like, Colin Farrell's played Jesse James, Brad Pitt's played Jesse James. I
don't like westerns. Even modern. I'm like,
Like, I would venture to say that there's more movies about Jesse James than there are about Billy the Kid. I could be completely wrong about that, but that'd be an interesting statistic to look at. But I just don't get it. Like, I don't get it. Right. Sorry.
Well, the problem is the movie's going to be like Emilio Estevez. Like, I loved Billy the Kid just because of Young Guns. I was like, this dude's awesome. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't really know the true story if that's not it. I'm like, well, all right. But yeah, so movies are, whatever. Movies are my history. my history book. So.
Well, that's why we read things. That's why we read.
Words are hard.
Words are
all
hard.
Right.
All right. I don't really have anything else to add. Sorry I shit on an icon.
No,
Not really. I'm not sorry.
Yeah, you shit on it, but you also told a good story. So, well done. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, all right. So,
I did. I enjoyed it, man. So, I guess.
I don't think the treasure exists either. Sorry. You can go to Oklahoma if you want. You can go to Oklahoma if you want. I don't think that the treasure was. I don't think that it was there 10 minutes after he was dead. But whatever. Go fuck up Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Tennessee. Those are like the main.
Send us a postcard if you would.
Yeah. Those are the main states that he supposedly hung out in. Little time in Kentucky, but you think I'm going poking around on some dude's farm saying I'm looking for Jesse James fucking treasure? Think I'm gonna get it? Nah, I'm good.
Nah, I don't want to find any of them cave bats, them giant goblin bats.
Giant, yeah.
Cave bats.
Bats.
Good. All right, man. Well, good story. That was number 2. Voter suggestion in the books.
It is. I will say it's weird that Mad Scientist and Jesse James took some interesting, they did not turn out the way that I believe that the suggestion was posed.
I agree. And I felt that through the whole Mad Scientist thing, as you just did through Jesse James. I was like, oh, well, actually it ended up being like, really, hey, we were kind of like, these guys are fucking brilliant.
Yeah, the episode took a weird turn, so.
But they were fun, so.
Yes, they were.
All right, man.
All right, brother. Yeehaw.
Good shit. All right, later, bud.
Later, man.